Welcome to another edition of Hummingbot Live, our weekly live stream series where we demo the latest and greatest features that we're adding to Hummingbot. As introduction, my name is Mike. I'm one of the co-founders of Hummingbot. It's an open source project that helps you deploy trading bots on any crypto exchange. And so we've been around for about 6 years. And the reason it's a community project is because there's many exchanges in crypto. There's many blockchains. And so we really rely on the community to add integrations to all of them. And we're supported with partnerships with many of the exchanges and blockchains in crypto. So let's get started. We're going to be going through some of the new features that are going live in one of the next releases of Hummingbot. We're actually about to launch 2.7 next week. But today I'm going to demo a feature that's not going to be launching until 2.8. And it's more because this is kind of like more of an expansion of our DEX integrations into doing more than what it did in the past. Because in the past, you can only just kind of run kind of automated strategies with Hummingbot, but because now it integrates to so many DEXs, we've also added kind of a more just pure trading functionalities to it as well, and which is what I'm going to demo today. All right. We have a few people watching right now, so I think we'll probably get started in about 1 or 2 minutes. I'm going to start with this presentation to kind of just illustrate what we'll discuss today, and then we'll get into it. So let me just ping some people and watch Discord, make sure that we are watching there. Feel free to drop questions in the YouTube chat. I'm also gonna just track the Discord chat as well. Okay, all right. So let's get started. I'm gonna just go through and talk about what we're gonna be talking about today. So today, just as an introduction, we actually do this every Friday. I think we've done it for the last few months, but basically it's either me or Federico, our CTO. And we just kind of go through and we basically show off some stuff we're building in Hummingbot, and really just do some live demo trading and really anything the community wants us to cover. So feel free to tell us what you want to see in the comments or on Discord, and we'll try to plan them for live streams in the future. So today what we'll discuss are the changes that are coming to Gateway. So let me kind of go through and talk about the history of this Gateway module we've had in Hummingbot and the role it plays and how we see it evolving in the future. So what Gateway is it's this repo here. It's called the URL is github.com/hummingbot/gateway. It's actually been around for a fairly long time. We launched it initially in 2020. Because we actually had a grant from, I believe it was Celo, to add integration to the new blockchain they had built, because they wanted an arbitrage bot that people could use to arbitrage what was happening on the Celo blockchain versus how their tokens were trading on central exchanges. So initially we built this Celo integration directly in Hummingbot, just in pure Python. But what we realized was because Celo had these libraries that were JavaScript only, we couldn't incorporate them into the Python version of Hummingbot. So we had to add this extra, basically we had to create another version purely for Celo that would wrap their CLI, and it kind of became much more complicated. And so from that, then we also built some other bots for other DEXs, and we quickly realized that for a lot of these DEXs, there's always this some type of SDK that's aimed at JavaScript developers, because it's mostly used for websites that are incorporating this DEX into it. And so because of that, all these SDKs are always in TypeScript or JavaScript, and it's rare that that a DEX would maintain a Python SDK at the same level as their JavaScript ones. So that presents a problem, honestly, for us, but also for lots of other quant traders out there, because most quant traders, the reason we operate in Python is because Python is commonly used in data science, and now I think most other market makers are Python, Rust, or C. So very few, frankly, are using JavaScript as their main language. And so that's why we created Gateway as kind of like a middleware. And it's the concept is it's purely just it's incorporating the SDKs from various DEXs, standardizing the endpoints that they expose for like swapping, adding and removing liquidity, and providing like a streamlined, very simple like kind of like standardization layer, so that Hummingbot can call some DEX endpoint like doing a swap and treat it almost like a SEX, and that's why it's kind of like a companion module to Hummingbot. So it was launched in 2020. We started adding DEXs for it, and then in the last couple of years, especially, we've found that just like Hummingbot, it's actually really valuable for smaller exchanges who want to get support. And so we've had lots of small exchanges, especially those on different blockchains, contribute and add connectors to Gateway in the last couple of years. But unfortunately, I think as people have added connectors, the code base has gotten more and more unwieldy. So and a lot of that was because when we were first building this in 2020, we had no idea how the landscape would evolve. So there's lots of we added, for example, support for lots of chains and trying to standardize everything that just is just not how the market developed. And so for a while, I felt like the architecture that we had in Gateway was like holding it back, because there's lots of things we want to add, like support for different type of protocols, like flash loans, for example, different types of AMMs, different types of chains. But it was just kind of like it was hard to actually build upon the architecture that we had before for Gateway. So about 6 months ago, we decided to just refactor the whole thing. We passed a governance proposal, and so for the last few months, we've been working on this refactored version of Gateway, and I'm pleased to announce it's finally almost ready for release. So that's what we're releasing in 2.8. So let me go through and explain some of the features that are in 2.8 and do a demo, and then we'll and then that should end the live stream for today. So let me go through and kind of explain what's new. So as I mentioned, the old architecture was kind of unwieldy, mainly because it was landscape has evolved over the last few years. The new version is much simpler. It manages like wallets. For example, now you add a wallet for a chain, and you can use that wallet on any network, on any DEX supported by that chain. Whereas in the past, if you had to add a wallet, it was on a DEX specific basis, and it just doesn't really make any sense. So I think the new kind of like approach should be much simpler. But I think the other reason we did it is because now it allows it to be expanded a lot easier. Now there's separate schemas for different types of DEXs that are clear, and I think it'll be easier for the community to add others that are similar to them. So we've also added new commands into Gateway. For example, we're adding a new swap command that can help you just execute a trade from the interface directly. And so you don't even have to run a bot. You can basically execute DEX trades directly from Gateway. There's also new commands to help you manage tokens and pools, because one of the things that's always hard is it's like if you have a new token that's not supported, how do you add that to the list? Now there's a new Gateway token command where you can see what's in the list, add a token for a particular network, or remove a token as well. And there's also another command for pools, because when you interact with an exchange, sometimes you have to define the pool that you want to trade on. And so currently it's there's not really a process to manage that. So we're adding a new way where you can maintain a list of pools for a particular DEX. And so you can just pass in a trading pair. Like I want to do a swap on Sol USDT or Sol USDC, and I'll find the right pool that you want to use. And we also try to standardize the schemas. So in the past, it wasn't really, it kind of treated all DEXs the same. Today, now there's 3 types of schemas. One is for routers, or basically any type of aggregator where when you do a swap, it's going to find the optimal route across lots of different path, present you that route, and then you kind of confirm that quote. And so that's a pattern that's used by Jupiter, Uniswap Router, CalSwap, and lots of other kind of like router or DEX aggregator type of exchanges. So now we have a separate kind of like a schema focused on swaps that are designed for those types of DEXs. And then for DEXs that are AMM based, you can also do a swap with them, but you can also add and remove liquidity. We have separate schemas for AMM and for CLMM. AMMs are really for the Uniswap v2 style pools where you're depositing kind of like full range, and the concentrated liquidity schema is for pools where you can define the price range where you're depositing into. But now all the connectors should have standardized schemas, and if they support the base schemas, then that should ensure that from the Hummingbot side, it should be able to call those connectors in the same way. And yeah, as I mentioned before, now there's a wallet management system which is per chain instead of per connector, and along with a gateway wallet command that helps you kind of like list, add, and remove those wallets. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch to the demo now. I'm gonna do a fresh install from scratch, so you guys can just copy what I'm doing for yourself as well if you want. This is already live in these pull requests. So today we'll be using using these two pull requests. Basically this gateway one for 2.8 alongside this Hummingbot one for which matches it. And today we'll just cover DEX swaps because it's still kind of work in progress. Next week we'll cover how to use this to manage LP positions, adding and removing liquidity across different DEXs. And then finally, in 2 weeks, we'll lay out how the interface will change because this functionality is great, but with AI now, I think we can make it a lot more accessible to many more people. So we're going to talk about how we're going to be using MCP or Model Context Protocol to expose this tool, this gateway kind of tool, along with Hummingbot and the other resources we have to a broader audience via MCP. Okay, so there's some other stuff. I'll go into the demo right now, but if you want to join the community, you can just read the docs, join our Discord, or join our GitHub. AI made this, so this is actually hummingbot.org, but if you put it in the docs, it should resolve to the right website. Okay, so let's go ahead and install Hummingbot and Gateway 2.8, and I'll show you how we can use it to do some simple DEX swaps today. So pretty light, not super challenging in terms of the agenda. You could also do this, with other tools as well. But I think, I'll show how you can do this with Gateway. All right, so let's go. So first, what you want to do is open a terminal window. So I will open terminal. Now I'm on a window. I'm sorry, I'm not on Windows. I'm on a Mac. However, if you're using Linux or Windows, it should be very similar. One note is that if you're using Windows, you want to use something called WSL, or Windows Subsystem for Linux, so that you can launch Unix-based applications like Hummingbot in Windows. All right, so let's go and create a temporary directory. So I think I have a temp directory, so I'll call this temp. Maybe today 05 07 11. So oops, make it a little bigger. So let's make a new directory. 0711. Okay, and here what we'll do is we're gonna install Hummingbot. So first, one note is that today I'm gonna install everything from source because this is still like a work in progress. When you're actually using it for real, you'll probably be using Docker, but because the Docker process doesn't allow you to see under the hood, I'm gonna do it from source today. So the first thing you want to do is clone the branch of Hummingbot. So first we'll go here, and then let's do git clone, and then you can pick either the SSH or HTTPS. I'll pick SSH, so I'll just clone that, and then we'll get the so that all that does is just fetches a code for the repo. Now by default, this is going to fetch the master or the master branch, the main branch, and so once we fetch it, the first thing we'll want to do is switch to the branch that contains this pull request. So let me find the pull request. Make sure I have the right branch name. So this is a branch name we'll want to use, and we'll do that as soon as this installation process completes. Meanwhile, let me check if there's any questions. Let's see, no questions yet. I do see a question. I do see a question on approvals. Yeah. So what I should mention, one thing we had in a lot of passes, a lot of people had issues with like setting up gateway and Hummingbot because we enforced and required people to have SSL. So the way I'll show you how this works, but in the new version by default is actually unencrypted, non-SSL. Now you can still add SSL, but I think not having an SSL by default should make it simpler for a lot of people who had setup problems because of the certificates and the need to kind of link Hummingbot and Gateway together when they were being used. So now we have a new version of Hummingbot. So let's go to the code. So now what we did, all we did was we just downloaded the code for Hummingbot along with the branches that it has. So the first thing we want to do is we will want to check out and switch to the branch that contains a code that we want to use, which is feet gateway. Okay, so now we're on that branch, and now we can also let's go ahead and look at the code for it. So you know, we can see that this README shows you is updated and has some information on how to use it. Now, the first thing we want to do is run this command, which is git submodule update. So the reason is because now in the new version here, we have Gateway as a submodule. So if you see, there's already a Gateway directory here. Currently, it's empty. So you see it's empty. The reason it's empty is because this is a submodule, and the first thing we're going to do is run this command, git submodule update, and this will basically fetch the Gateway submodule. And the most important thing is that this submodule, it has the right branch tag. So it's going to pull in the Gateway 2.8 branch, and so now when we go to Gateway, you'll see that it has the code in this directory, right? So see, so now, and the reason it has, and so now so you don't need to kind of install Gateway separately. You'll just need to run this submodule command, and it'll fetch Gateway, it'll put it in the right place. So first thing you want to do is set up Hummingbot. So you want to run the install command to install the Conda environment. Now, I've already done that. I'm not going to do that because typically this takes a long time. So instead, I will just compile. And so actually, we've already done it too. So I just need to install Conda, activate Hummingbot. And so I just need to activate the Hummingbot environment. So yeah, so if you're doing this from scratch, you probably want to run install and then compile and then activate the environment. So after you do that, you can set up the gateway. So for gateway, if you're installing from source, you'll want to, let's make this a little bigger. First, run pmm install. Okay, and then you'll run pmm build. And then you'll run pmm setup. So this setup command, run setup. pnpm run setup. So we've improved this initialization script a bit more. So in the past, this kind of like this does two things. The first thing does is copies over the default config files from the templates directory into your configuration directory. So this establishes the configurations you use for the server itself. So this is the default server configure file. So let's copy this over. We're also going to copy over configurations for each network. For example, which node, which RPC provider is used to connect to the node. What are the different kind of like assumptions you're making on slippage and other things for every network. And also we also have configuration files for every DEX connector as well. So we'll copy that over from templates. We'll also copy over our token lists. So these are the lists that resolve a symbol to the addresses for different chains and networks, as well as the default pool lists. So the lists that resolve a trading pair into a pool address for a DEX like Meteora, or Radium. And finally, we also want to link the Hummingbot certificates. This will help us run Gateway in encrypted mode if we need to. By default, actually, we don't copy them over, but I will copy them over. And this should be, it's much simpler because this is a submodule. We know that Hummingbot is in the folder right underneath us, and so we can pull out the source location from that pretty easily. So now we do need to generate those certs beforehand. So let's see. Oh yeah, yes. This doesn't work because we actually need to generate the certs with Hummingbot. So actually, let me actually do this again, and I'm not going to do the certs because we actually don't need them now that we can run Gateway and Hummingbot in unencrypted mode. So we'll proceed, copy over these items, and this will, and now we have the default configs saved in this conf directory here for the different ones. So for example, I can change the port the Gateway is on. I can change some of the other things as well. All right, so let's go ahead and now we have everything set up. We should be able to go ahead and start both Gateway and Hummingbot now. So I'll start Gateway, just like this. So when you start Gateway, you want to set a passphrase. This passphrase is what's used to encrypt your wallets. So if you add a wallet, it will basically encrypt your wallets using this passphrase. You also want to make sure if you're using certificates that this passphrase is the same one that's using Hummingbot, but now we're actually running this in unencrypted mode, so it doesn't matter. All right, so now we have Gateway running on, and this is running on port 1588. So it's already running, and so that means that we can already go to localhost 1588/docs and see the server running there. So this is a server, and so here are the different kind of like endpoints that it exposes. It has the system configuration endpoints. This allows you to fetch the configurations for a certain namespace. For example, this is my server configuration. I can also check out my configs for each network that it's on, like mainnet beta, like this. There's actually more options, so I can select mainnet base as well, and so forth. So if I want to see the list of the namespaces that I can configure, that's what this namespaces route is. So if you execute this route, it lists the various namespaces that you can configure. Essentially, the rule is there's always a server namespace for the Gateway server itself. There's a namespace for every Ethereum and Solana network, and there's also a namespace for every DEX connector that we have. And these namespaces are basically, they define network or connector level kind of like assumptions that we're making. For example, Jupiter, there's a slippage field where if you don't pass in a slippage, it will use the slippage that's defined in the Gateway config. Next, we also have a list of connectors. So you can run the connectors endpoint to see the list of connectors, the schemas they support. So router, CLMM or AMM, as well as the networks they support. So the way this works is that every connector is a folder in the Gateway source connectors folder, and they each have a set of routes. Every connector should always support at least one type of route, and so they should always support the swap interfaces. So for Jupiter, Jupiter has router routes. 0x also has router routes, but for instance, a Uniswap which has 3 schemas. It has router routes, clam routes, and AMM routes. So for each of these kind of schemas, there's a schemas folder that defines the schemas for every route. So this file, these files have for every request and response what the params need to be, and so this kind of standardizes essentially all the endpoints for Gateway. All right, so after you install Gateway, the first thing you should probably do is just look at what's running on localhost 1588/docs, and you can interact with these endpoints directly. For example, let's say I wanted to add a wallet. I can add a wallet like this. So I can pass in a private key to my Solana wallet. I'll do that. Let me just go ahead and do that on another screen here, so I don't expose my private key. 1 second. Okay. All right, so let me pull this over here. All right, so basically I'm just gonna paste my private key where it said into that box your private key, and then I'm gonna hit execute. Okay, bring it back. Oops, expose my private key for 1 second. That is my private key, but it's okay. This is my demo wallet. There's no funds in it, so don't hack me, guys. Yeah, so afterwards you'll see a 200 response with this with your public key right here. And now what it means is now this wallet has been added to Gateway. It was encrypted using the passphrase, and now you can use that wallet for stuff in the future. So for example, let's say I've added a wallet, and now I want to see my balance on Solana. So I can pass in the wallet address I have. Where's my wallet address? I'll restart Gateway like this. I'll start it again, and then because I've added a wallet, it should automatically populate the examples with the wallet I've added. There you go. So now this is a wallet address I've added. I can basically fetch my balance across tokens, and so if I fetch this now I see basically my balances for the tokens I've specified in the tokens route. You can also leave this blank like this, not pass in any tokens, and then what we'll do, it will fetch for every token in the token list. Now this is a very common thing you'll see. So if you see this right here, server responds with 429 too many requests, especially for Solana. It probably means that you're using the default Solana node URL. This is something that is a lot of people run into because unfortunately there are no great public nodes for Solana. You'll have to use a private node if you want to kind of like automate pretty much any activity on Solana. I recommend like QuickNode, Alchemy, ChainStack. There's many node providers out there that now support Solana. So I would definitely make sure first thing you do is update the public node URL using that. Now there is a configuration endpoint with that, but we're going to be doing that with Hummingbot pretty soon. So now it's probably a good time to go and show you how you can basically use Gateway, not directly, but within Hummingbot. So recall that everything here we're just in this Gateway directory that's in this root that's here. So it's basically Gateway is installed here in this Gateway directory, but now I'm in the main the Hummingbot directory that we were in before. So let me just go and run the start command. So now because Gateway is already running over here, you should already see Gateway as soon as you launch Hummingbot. So all right, so I must have already set a password earlier for this because I didn't set a password, but yeah, now Gateway's online. I'm running Hummingbot already, and I can see so there's a few commands. So you can run Gateway help in order to see the commands. Let me make this a little bigger. So note that the reason Gateway is online right now is because Hummingbot is just accessing Gateway at this port here. This is not encrypted. So the main difference between this and the approach we did in the past is that now anyone can go to this site. So we only recommend this if you're running this on a machine that is kind of like, that you control, that no one else has access to. If you do, if you're running this in a more like a production environment where other people have access to your, can actually hit this endpoint, because you're exposing your wallet here, other things like that, you probably don't want to make this super public. In that case, you can run this you can basically turn on SSL. So the way you do that is in Hummingbot, there's a conf directory in let's see, where's that conf client? Where's that conf client? Where's my conf client? Sorry, yeah, conf. Where's right? Oh, anyway, weird. I don't know where it is actually. It's very strange. Okay, all right. Well, we'll ignore that. But yeah, there should be a conf client. Where's my conf client? I don't know where my conf client is. Is this right directory? This might not be the right directory. It is. Okay. All right. Okay. That's weird. I don't know where my conf client is. Anyway, so yeah, basically there's a gateway use SSL. Where is it? Yeah. So here we go. So yeah, this is the gateway config map, and this is basically what you'll use to set whether you're using gateway or not. So yeah, let me go ahead and run this, and yeah, just kind of show you what commands are available here. So first, you can use gateway ping, which shows you the different chains you're connected to, like mainnet and mainnet beta. What this is doing is running the status endpoint for each chain and showing you what they are. So this gateway ping command will be helpful in just knowing, like, are you connected to a chain? What's your latency for the connection? And can you? So yeah. So right now I'm using the public node for Solana. My latency is pretty high, and if you kind of like, if you monitor the process here, basically if I do anything like fetching balance for more than one token, it's going to basically run into 429 errors. So that's why I could try to do gateway balance like this. Let's see, so even Solana, but oh yeah, it actually did fetch that. But I think if I try to do it more often, and fetch it again, it's probably going to hit 429 errors. So that's why the first thing you want to do is update the node URL for Solana, because otherwise you're going to get like this kind of thing. Okay. All right. So to do that, you can use the gateway config command. First, you can show. Let's see. Let's first, like, I'll use the show command to see what my config is for Solana. So that's this shows you the configuration, and then now I can use update to update that. So first, I want to define. If you just put it this way, you'll have to define the path and the value. So first, I want to do node URL, and then the next one I want to define the new node URL that I want to use. So let me go ahead and pull in my quick node endpoint over here, and we'll use that instead of the mainnet one. Okay, so now if I take another look at the configuration, I can see that I'm now using a custom node for the URL, and if I run the balance command, it should be much faster. See, let's see, is it? Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah. This is probably one of these things. Yeah, I do need to restart gateway to do this. So I'm gonna start that again. Actually, yeah, we should probably do a forced restart after this. So now, yep. So now it's using the new, is now using the URL. So now you can see the latency is now much faster than it was before. Okay, so now, yeah. So the main thing you want to do is add that. There's other things you can configure as well. For example, some of the like the fee options, and I think as we kind of really build this out and make it better at controlling how people can send transactions on the blockchain, there might be some more configuration options we'll add to each network or connector. So the other thing you want to do likely is adding tokens, because right now, for example, for Solana, we're only fetching a certain number of tokens. So and the reason is because when you fetch a token, it's a separate call every time, and so that's why actually if I go ahead and in Gateway, we don't expose this to Hummingbot, but there's in the Solana balance command, there's actually a fetch all option here. See this? So if I do this true, what this will do is it'll try to fetch every possible token that I have, and it'll display my values. But there's many tokens that I might have that are like DEX tokens. There's random people might airdrop you tokens, and so this fetch all command will show you the balances for every token in Solana, and so there might be many of these tokens here. Now, a lot of these are basically like useless, like meme coins or stuff that people airdrop. So ideally, you only want to identify the ones that that people have that you actually care about and own. So because of that, you probably have to add certain tokens and customize Gateway to support the tokens that you really want to have. So for example, let's suppose I want to add the Camino token, because right now I think, let's see, let's actually take a look at the list for Solana mainnet beta and see what we actually have in that list. So currently these are the tokens that we have in that list. So we have Bonk, Ethereum, Helium, Jupiter, and a few other ones. So this is definitely missing many tokens you want to trade with. So how do we add a token? Now you can actually use address directly, but here I think let's go ahead and add a token for Solana, and we'll go and that will help us use it. So let's add the Camino token, and this will help us to trade Camino. So let's see Camino, and then to do that, let's go ahead and find the token address for Camino. This will be helpful. I think we can just do this like this way. And then we also need the decimals. So to get the decimals, you'll want to pull up the token on SolScan or EtherScan. Oh, actually, this is not that's actually not right. Copy address. So yeah, so this has 6 decimals. So I will do 6 for that. And then finally, there's a confirmation step, and then now I will add that to Gateway. So now I've added that. So now what that means is I should see the token list. So now Camino is in the token list, and so now when I trade, it should resolve Camino to this right address. So if you're trading meme coins or any coin, you definitely want to add your tokens onto this list. The other thing you want to do is probably add your pools. So this is when you interact with AMM. You'll need to kind of like see what pools you access to. So we can also see this list. Let's take a look at for example, the Radium pools that we have here. So let's look at them on mainnet beta. And so basically, this list is a list that helps you resolve a certain pool. So let's say you're trading on the Radium AMM, and you want to basically deposit into the Sol USDC pool. Well, there's many kind of Sol USDC pools in Radium with different fee tiers, and so you may want to select one single pool with the most liquidity, for example. This is a problem. So just to illustrate what we're talking about here, if you go to Radium like this, let's see, go to 1 second. Yeah, so basically, if you're in Radium like this, and then you go to, let's say, liquidity, and you want like concentrated, if we look up like Ray, you can see there's quite a few pools. Even in Sol Ray, there's Sol Ray 0.5% fee tier. There's Sol Ray 0.25% here. And these are different pools with different addresses. So if you're adding liquidity or swapping against a pool, you really have to know the pool address that you're swapping against. And that can be a pain in the ass if you have to find the address every single time. To make this simpler, what we've done is we added a dictionary called pools here, where you can define for every exchange a list of pools. Each pool will have a type, a base, quote, and an address. So what that means is if you're trading on Radium AMM and you enter in so that they Sol USDC, you can just put in the trading pair, and this list will help you resolve to the right pool. Okay, so that was just some background information. I hope that was out of the way. Now you understand kind of like, how you set up Gateway, and you should understand how you can do this. One final thing is, I should mention, if you're trading on Ethereum, you also need to worry about the concept of approvals, because you have to prove a DEX to kind of like be able to transfer assets if you want to interact with it. To help you understand this, we have an allowance command. The allowance command helps you understand for a given wallet, let's say, like what your allowance is on Uniswap or AMM. So I've not added an Ethereum wallet, so let me do that right now, and I'll do that. I should also mention we've also added the ability. This time we've also added different types of wallets. So now you can add a regular wallet, a hardware wallet, or a read-only wallet. And so when we do swaps, I'll add a hardware wallet, and I'll show how we can add wallets that way using we can basically use a hardware wallet to trade. So let me show you how to add a hardware wallet right now for Ethereum, and we can use that to check. Okay, one second. Okay, so so to add a hardware wallet, you can select the add hardware command like this. Oh, whoops. So and then you want to have, let's say, okay, and then basically you want to you just need to find the address that you have. So let me find the address, and so let's say I want to connect my my ledger like this one here. I'll connect this ledger, and then I'll just put in the ledger address like this. Now, basically, this will fail if your ledger device is not connected, unlocked. So basically, make sure that it's unlocked and you're also in the Ethereum app there. So if that work, let's see, this works. Oh, okay, that's right. Let me go to the Ethereum app. Let me try this again. Okay, it does not work. Okay, 1 second. Why does that work? Ah, okay, got it. Yeah. This is actually an issue. There's something. How did I fix this issue? Oh yeah. I know why. Sorry. Let me go back to this. I need to do this rebuild step here. Actually, let me. How did I fix this before? Let me ask Claude how I do this. Yeah, 1 second. Oh, God. Stupid. Ugh. Okay. Sorry, this is stupid. Basically, I don't think I did the lock file correctly, so that's why it's not installing some libraries. This is working in my other branch, in my working branch. But because this is a fresh install, it probably doesn't have like something I need. I solved this issue yesterday already, so I already know what the command is. It's like pm rebuild -- like all or something like that. Jesus Christ, no, it was not pm rebuild. Okay. I could have told you that. All right, let's just try it anyway. Jesus. Okay. Okay, let's try that again. No. Yeah, no, it's still not. Okay. All right. Let me do this a separate way, so we don't waste time here. Let me just connect to my current version of Gateway. I will run. Let me just do this. This is a bit of a hack, but it's the same thing running, but the other branch here is working. So so let's do this. Actually, let me not have Gateway again. Ah, shit. Okay, so now, yeah, I've connected. Let me Gateway wallet list. Oh yes, yeah. So there's some other gateways. So I've actually already added wallets here. So let me. This is a good time. I'll remove them. Wallet remove. Ethereum, and then I'll remove some of these wallets, and I can add them again. 1 second. Okay. Okay. All right. So now let's try adding it again. I'll make sure this is working better when we actually launch it. So yeah, when it's actually working, this is actually not. Okay. 1 second. This is more because Gateway is not working. This is. Okay. All right. So now I'm in the Ethereum app. I will add it again. Okay. So now this time it was added successfully. So now I see I have this hardware wallet. Actually, I do have this other one. So let me. So the way this works. So by default, Gateway will use kind of like a primary wallet for swapping. So right now, it will use the first regular or hardware wallet that you have. If you want to change it, you'll have to remove one. So let me remove this other regular one that I have. Then that way we can use that for swaps. So let me wallet remove Ethereum, and I'm gonna remove this other one that we have here. And afterwards, we should see the hardware wallet become the primary one. Okay, so now we have a regular wallet added for Solana, a hardware wallet added for Solana, and a hardware wallet added for Ethereum. So we can fetch the balances of any of these wallets by kind of doing this, and then this should actually populate. I don't know why this doesn't populate, but yeah, we should actually complete this command. But yeah, in theory, you could actually put any address here, not just the ones that we have here. But yeah, you can also put the ones here. So okay, so now if you kind of just do this, it'll fetch all the balances for all the wallets that you have for every token on the list. All right, so now that we covered the basics, now let's go ahead and actually do some swaps on Gateway. So by default, every connector should expose the swap endpoints. So what I mean by that is, if you look here, basically the Jupiter is a router. So the router schema has exposed the quote swap, execute the quote, and execute the swap. So essentially, for routers, the first step is fetching the price from the exchange along with a route, which is if you actually want to do that swap, what is the route that you're going to use? And then in the second phase, when you execute a trade, you pass in the quote or the route you got and then you pass it to the exchange executes that for you. So it's kind of like a two-step process, and that's why XQSwap basically combines the first two together into one single flow. Now, so all router connectors should expose that schema. So for example, another router connector is the 0x connector on Ethereum. And you can see that the 0x connector exposes the same parameters as Jupiter. Now the 0x connector can have additional parameters. For example, for 0x, for example, there are some 0x specific kind of like fields that are added here. However, these base parameters like network, base token, quote token, amount, etc., are part of the kind of like the basic swap schema. So that ensures that every DEX, whether it's a router, as an AMM or CLMM, they have to expose the same kind of swap features at the base level, so that you can call that endpoint the same way from anywhere. So similarly, if it's a pool, let's say it's a Radium. Radium, it's not a router, but it's an AMM and CLMM. So here, like, there's kind of defined AMM endpoints Exchange has, and also defined CLAM endpoints. Note that both AMMs and CLAMs also have the quote swap and the execute swap endpoint. These have the same parameters as the quote swap and the execute swap endpoints for router connectors. So what that means, sorry, let me answer this phone from my wife. Phone call. Hello?
Hi. Can you buy those tickets? Because I think you probably want to do anyways.
Okay. What is it? Okay.
I sent it to you
Okay.
in your WhatsApp.
Okay. All right. I'll buy it after.
Yeah, 3 tickets.
Three tickets. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. I'm going to the Boo Boo convention tomorrow with my daughter. So, yeah, gotta buy tickets for that. Yeah, where were we? Okay, so as I'm mentioning, essentially the quote swap and so what that means is when I run gateway swap, I can basically fetch a swap quote from any exchange. So here's how swap works. Actually, the help is not very helpful yet, but basically the arguments to swap allow you to fetch swap quotes and execute those swap quotes on any gateway exchange. So for example, let's say I want to swap quote from Jupiter. So let me pick Jupiter, the Jupiter router, pick the network that the router's on. So it's Jupiter. Here the Solana network's available. It's only on Solana mainnet. And then if I just pass this in, this enters into more of an interactive mode where I can answer a set of questions and then fetch the quote that way. So by default, as I mentioned, this is going to use your primary wallet. So right now, that is this regular wallet here that I have on Solana. So here are the tokens I can trade on. I can pass in a symbol or an address. If I pass in a symbol, it's going to refer to the token list for that network. And as I showed you earlier, you may want to add or remove tokens to make that process simpler. So let's keep it simple. The first thing I want to do is let's just see what a trade looks like, swapping SOL for USDC. So we'll just get a swap to do to sell one SOL for USDC. So here's the information from Jupiter. So we're fetching the SOL USDC, selling 1, and we're using a slippage of 1. This 1 comes from the Jupiter configuration. So currently the price is 163.1. With slippage, this is the amount that we get with 1% slippage. And then if we don't want to do this trade, this is the minimum we get. So now we can actually execute this trade we want right now. But to compare, let's go ahead and look at Jupiter and make sure that this quote matches what we have for Jupiter as well. So in Jupiter, the first thing you want to do, you can change the slippage setting. So right now we're using Ultra V2. Let's change it to manual, 1%. So now we should expect the price should be very similar to the price we have with slippage. So let's go ahead and verify that. Say hit no. Let me fetch that quote again. So if I want to fetch a quote, I can make it a bit simpler, like this. So now, because I'm entering the information here like this, it's not going to go into interactive mode and it'll just fetch the quote, a new quote for me like this. So now the new quote is 163 and with slippage is 161. So here, if you notice, yeah, this 1% slippage is gonna change it, but I think this is the non-slippage amount here, and I think yeah they will give you less. So let's actually do a swap. I think I have a bit of Sol in my wallet here. Before we do that though, I don't want to use 1% slippage. I think it's too high. So let me go ahead and change the Jupyter configuration so it's a lower slippage amount. So to do that, I'm gonna configure that again. Config update. This time I'm going to update the Jupyter config, and I'm going to change slippage percentage to 0.1 because that should do that. So I think actually, let me choose. I think actually I need to restart Gateway for that to take effect. No. Yes. Wait. Okay. Yes. So I do need to do this. So sorry. I need to. Yeah, I'm probably gonna add a restart when someone changes the configuration soon, but for right now, you have to do it manually. This. So now, let's see, get that. Yeah, so now it's correctly using 0.1% slippage for the configuration, and so now you can see that the swap is much closer. So if you know this swap is cached, so if you want to execute the swap, I could just execute it right now. Let's say, do I have 0.1? So yeah, let's go ahead and execute that swap right now, and we'll see how that works. So once you hit yes, it's going to go and try to execute that swap using the node that you have in Gateway. Ooh, that didn't work. Aha. The quote actually, so what just happened was, I think the quote actually did not succeed, probably because the price changed, because the simulation just failed just now. So let's actually go ahead, and we can also use the Gateway swap execute trade. So let's go ahead and swap execute. And this actually goes to the same process. So we're gonna enter none for the ID. So we'll enter Sol USDC. We'll sell one again, sell, and then we will do this trade. So actually, let me make sure I have enough in my balance. I think I do. Yes, I do. So yeah, let's try to do this trade and see if that works. So yeah, this time it worked. I think last time the price was changed. So this time, what Gateway does, it'll try a number of times to confirm the transaction. This time it did. So now you can see we swapped 0.1 Sol for 16.3241 USDC. That was actually better. That was actually slightly better than the price that we had here. So yeah, so yeah, it seemed like this we actually improved it. So if you want to see how that works, you can also see the hash. You can get the hash directly. It's in the logs here, and so you can basically take this hash and check the transaction in SolScan as well. So yeah, that's how you can do a swap directly in Gateway. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing, but let's do that on let's try to do that with our Ethereum hardware wallet. This is a bit aggressive because I haven't even tested the Uniswap endpoints yet, but this should work because what we'll try to do is we'll try to do a swap on Ethereum, on mainnet using this hardware wallet. So let's go ahead and try to first let me open my hardware wallet, and we'll do a swap there. Okay, all right. So first, let's get a swap quote from Uniswap. We'll pick Uniswap router, and then we'll pick mainnet, and then we'll just do let's see. Let's just do WETH. Actually, yeah, let's do HBot. So we have HBot here. Let's do HBot. And then we'll do, let's see, WETH. Actually, let's do USDC. And then we'll do 100,000 because HBot's pretty small. And then let's do sell. Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. I think this is actually, God. This is, let me try this with something. I think this is actually a bug that I have here. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Yeah. I think there's actually an issue in Uniswap. I need to fix. It probably has to do with this slippage, this slippage thing that is it's not formatted correctly. But yeah, I think let me demo this with this directly. So I probably need to fix this part, but we can demo it using the basically using the endpoints directly. I'll just go ahead and do this way. So yeah, if you use Uniswap router, we can just quote. Essentially, all we're doing here is we're just basically providing the same things here. So yeah, let me do this. Okay, so yeah, so here's the actual quote for West UCC. This is a quote that should be showing up, but I think I'm not formatting something correctly. So probably a bug that I will need to fix. Actually, let me try to fix that right now. Actually, let me try to fix that. As we're doing things, I will try to have Claude fix this issue so that we can move on. But overall, yeah, this is some kind of like formatting issue that we need to fix. So, so this bug here. Let's start Claude. All right. So go back. So as I mentioned, yeah. So you could just basically pop it into this way and get a swap like that. I'll try to fix a bug. Let me actually see if HBot works. Yep. Yeah. So we can get a quote for HBot as well. So it's probably just a formatting issue with the connection to the whole interface. So let me see if it fix the bug. Did it fix it? Nope. Still fixing it. Okay. So no, it's not on the gateway side. Yeah. Okay. So as I mentioned, yeah. Let me show you the hardware wallet part, because I do think the hardware wallet is was a big improvement to this gateway, because there's a lot of things that you want to do on the blockchain that if you want to use real sums of money, I highly recommend using a hardware wallet where the private key is stored on the device, never leaves it, because if you're kind of copying private keys around, it's probably the best way to get hacked. So since it's still fixing the Uniswap issue, let's go ahead and demo how you can use a hardware wallet to do a swap on Solana instead. So let me go ahead and look at my gateway wallets. So I'm going to remove this wallet so I can I have my hardware one, which is the other one, and then I can do a swap there. So let me do that. Wallet remove. Oops. What the hell? Oh, Jesus Christ. This is terrible. Not completing. Jesus. Fuck. Okay. I can't paste. I can't paste now. 1 second. Oh. How can I paste here? There's some kind of wrong, something wrong with the input here. Yeah. Yeah, there's a completer issue here. Damn it. Sorry. This is terrible. Okay. 1 second. I'll just, you know what? No, I'll just do it manually. Give me a second. So if you encounter any problems you have in the interface, you can always just do it manually. For instance, I can go to gateway, conf, wallets, and then just remove the wallet that I have. Actually, this is not in the right one. 1 second. This is not the right one. 1 second. Okay. Gateway, gear, conf, wallets, Ethereum. Unfortunately, yeah, some of these issues I need to fix, but where is this? Yeah, okay, so I want to delete this wallet here. This one. Okay, so now okay, I did fix it. Okay, got it. Yes. Okay. Also, it looked like it fixed that swap issue we had earlier. So so we should be able to fetch a swap on Uniswap now, I believe. Let's try it. Nope. Still an issue. That's actually not the issue. Right, yeah. All right. Sometimes I gotta get the actual response from gateway. 1 second. Okay. All right. This should be fixed now. But since we don't actually need that, since we can go and do a swap using So the goal is to show how we can use a hardware wallet. So let me go and do that first. So I'll do it with Solana then. So now so we have wallet list. So yeah, we have a hardware wallet for both Ethereum and for Solana. So I'm gonna use this hardware wallet on Solana to do a swap on Jupiter, just like we did before. But this time we're gonna use Jupiter. So let's go ahead and basically try to do just do a swap for say Sol USDC, sell let's say 0.1. So yeah, so the price is 0.1. So now if I want to do a swap, let's make sure I actually have that in my wallet. I think I do. Yep, I do have a little bit of Sol. So let me do a swap like that. So if I just do a swap like this, I should be able to just execute the swap like this. And then now on my hardware wallet, I see the confirmation and I can hit approve. So if I hit approve, now it says the swap has been confirmed. and now I did a swap. So now this swap was actually done with a hardware wallet, not with the browser wallet. So basically, I think after this, it should be pretty easy for users to connect wallets and kind of use this as a trading interface. Now, we built this not because we think this is like a great trading interface, but more because I think having this swap as a command helps us understand how we can make that swap experience better for users. And eventually, once we have the MCP server, now people can kind of use the swap functionality, in any AI assistant that they have. So this is the reason we're adding kind of like all these kind of commands to Gateway is because I think that I think these are kind of all the main interactions you'll need in order to set up a DEX trading kind of like experience. You'll have to add wallets. You have to define token addresses, pool addresses, configure how you kind of trade on various DEXs, approving tokens, finding allowances, getting balances, and then finally doing swaps. We'll probably add more functionality for adding and removing liquidity in the future. Actually, I'll show that next week in this live stream. But and then of course you're probably wondering, when are we going to be running bots? When are we going to run actual real kind of market making strategies on these DEXs? And that's definitely coming. But I think that it's more important to understand how you do trading on DEXs. Understand just getting one trade done, making sure that the transaction is exactly what you intended, making sure that you're not paying some crazy gas fee, making sure you can actually land the transaction when the blockchain is congested or when the market is going nuts. I think those are really the important things that you want to get done first. So that's why, in some ways, with Gateway, we're taking more of like a step back, in order to move forward by making sure this experience is very simple and all the core things that you need to do when you're trading, are done first. And then once we have like kind of like the swapping experience kind of like really nailed down, then we can go back, make sure that adding liquidity and removing liquidity experience is good, and then finally making sure we can automate all of that together in strategies. But I think one thing unfortunately I've learned is that kind of taking things one step at a time is important. If you build a bot and it's not reliable because you didn't build the swap kind of functionality in a very resilient way, it becomes a bot that's useless. You can't rely on something if you can't predict its behavior every time. And so that's why we added this kind of more of like a basic trading layer to make sure that if you're just using Gateway or Hummingbot to do a trade, then that trade is gonna kind of do the same thing every time, so to speak. So unfortunately with DEXs, there's a lot of moving pieces. For example, the node interaction, how congested the blockchain is, even understanding, trading the right tokens can be a challenge because there's so many scam tokens out there. So I encourage you to kind of play around with this new version of Gateway, especially with the swap functionality, and see if it's actually something. It's something useful for you, because basically how we do these swaps is essentially what we're going to be automating anyway. So making sure that the slippage is handled correctly, we're resolving the right kind of like error messages and so forth is always very important. So just as a preview, I think that this is all going to be released in Gateway 2.8, which is probably about a month from now. But over the next month, we're going to be making sure the swap commands work well, adding commands for adding and removing liquidity, and finally kind of making all this more accessible to users via Model Context Protocol or MCP. So I hope that was helpful. Yes, actually I see a question from Via Chelev. Can you approve a token on Ethereum and Uniswap? Yes, actually I forgot to show that to you, but yes, you can use the allowance command to see what approves you have on Ethereum and Uniswap. So for example, if I want to see the allowance for this on say base, I can enter my wallet address. Whoops, that was not good. I know what I did, but yeah, so gateway allowance base or blast. Oh yeah, this is gonna be slow because unfortunately you do need to pass in a wallet address, and but I think I broke the wallet completer last time, so unfortunately there's an issue with wallet completion right now. But yeah, you want to actually pass in a list of addresses because there's otherwise it will look up the allowance for every single token individually, which can take a long time. Ugh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't know why I can't pass in my wallet. I screwed up the wallet address completer yesterday. Otherwise, this would work. I don't know why I can't do this. This is terrible. Oh, okay, that works. Oh, what? Oh, this is not wallet added. Okay, this. Ah, yes. Okay. So basically, let's see. Let's try to pad. This could be because there's a hardware wallet. I didn't add the hardware wallets in here. Yeah. Okay. So here, yeah. So this is how it works. So basically, you pass in a wallet address. It'll basically give you the tokens, the allowance, and yeah, for each token in the list. You can then approve it. So let's go ahead and try this. Actually, I haven't actually tried this yet. So let me go ahead and try to approve a token with my hardware wallet. This will help me make sure that approvals work with hardware wallets. Oh yeah, I have to put the token. So let's approve. Let's call it USDT maybe. I should call it WETH. Approve WETH. Okay. So okay, that did work, but I probably have to add some instructions. But yeah, so this actually did work. See, this actually signed successfully. I think because hardware wallets, maybe I don't get the resolution, so it's not showing the. See, unfortunately it failed to get approval hash. So yeah, I should probably fix this part better. But yeah, it did actually work. So I think if I do the allowance now, I should actually see. Yeah, WETH is now approved. So that's how you do it. So it's probably, if you're not using hardware wallet, I think it would show you the resolution in terms of what it's doing here. But so that's how you do approval. So one thing to note is that when you approve, you have to approve the actual spender. So because these are different smart contracts, so you have to approve the Uniswap AMM, router, and the clam separately, if that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, so that's the yeah. This is still not very easy to use now, but one reason why we're kind of doing this live stream, we're kind of letting the community just test it out already, is because over the next kind of few weeks before we actually publish this, we'll try to resolve a lot of these kind of like edge cases around the completions and kind of like the feedback when you're using different types of wallets, those kind of things. But overall, the goal for this refactor was really to kind of make Gateway more standardized, improve the connectivity with Hummingbot, and allow people to kind of like handle every aspect of their kind of like what they need to do with DEX trading directly using Hummingbot. So if you're doing if you're just doing a trade, or if you're trying to automate a set of trading operations, hopefully you can basically use that with Hummingbot in the future instead of having to kind of go off to a website or a different application. So and then hopefully the goal would be, once you've kind of done that for yourself, you can then start automating this into more complex strategies. But first things first, for the next few weeks, the first thing we'll do is we'll just cover the basics of swapping, which we did today, as well as adding and removing liquidity, and then finally how people can use that in different AI agents. All right, so I think this was a pretty long live stream. I think all we really did was do a couple of swaps, but I hope you understand kind of like some of the complexities of how it works, and you can now hopefully you can kind of use Gateway, by itself in a standalone mode, or kind of within Hummingbot like this. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you next.